Can you elaborate on the reason why you would prefer capitalism in this ideal world, ideal socialism versus ideal capitalism? Why you think people say, I would prefer ideal capitalism over ideal socialism? It's because of they feel there is more freedom in this alternative utopia? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they think under an ideal kind of capitalist society, you can live your life many different ways and you have many different options. Under a sort of utopian socialist society, everything is all one way. And what I mean by that is, like when I sat down to write this book, I didn't write it in a committee with the whole philosophy profession at once. We didn't do it collectively. I had an idea for a book to write. I had to test that, like whether it was a good idea on my own. I wrote it myself. I had to submit it to a publisher. I had to have anonymous people decide whether they thought it was worth publishing. And if people buy it, they're making that decision for themselves. They're buying it not because they like me and want to be my friend, but because they think it's worth having for their own sake. And that's a kind of affirmation of my efforts and the value of what I've done when people do it. If I had to sit down and every time I wrote a philosophy paper, a philosophy book, I had to do it in committee, as a collective creation, it would be stifling, it'd be exhausting. I wouldn't have any real freedom myself. I mean, imagine you and I and the rest of the world are writing a book together. We'd have to first vote, what is it going to be about? Oh, puppies again, great. Okay, what's the first word? We vote, oh, the. It'd be horrible. And most socialists recognize that in order for us to live authentic lives, we need to have private spheres that are our own. And that's why Jerry Cohen, despite being a socialist, never did socialist philosophy writing. He did private philosophy writing. They understand when it comes to art. They even understand it when it comes to private property and personal goods. So the typical socialist today says, you can own your own shirts, you can have a house as long as you don't rent it, you can have your own car as long as you don't drive for Uber, you can have your own guitars as long as you don't make money playing the music. They only get upset when you use these things to then make money in turn or use them productively. They say that has to be done collectively. But those very same people, they understand that when it comes to the creation of art, when it comes to the creation of culture, when it comes to the creation of philosophy, collective creation of everything stifles individual creativity and forces everyone to work the same way by majority vote. And that would be awful. So what's their complaint? Why is it when they turn to making chairs and pants, they say, well, that has to be done collectively through some sort of democratic process rather than through individual decision making? Maybe it's a failure of empathy on their part. Maybe it's because they don't understand why, in the same way that Jerry Cohen wants to write his own philosophy papers, Minnie Mouse wants to experiment with making bows her way, and real-life entrepreneurs want to test their own vision of how they think they can serve other people.
Do